I can't be the only one who felt like when they were growing up, there was that one or two big titles that came probably at the end of the year that you just had to have, and you waited for it, and you pre-ordered, and you picked up, and that was kind of your year, right? Your year was spent playing a lot of old games over again, or maybe buying a game that you missed on sale, and then you were really waiting for that one or two big release at the end of the year. Well, the pluses and minuses of the time that we live today is that we are blessed with a copious amount of quality games pretty much every month of the year. You want to play them all, you want to experience them all, but it just means that great games are going to be left on the cutting room floor. They're not going to get played. People are going to move on to the next thing or prioritize games that they're more familiar with, franchises that they've played before and they know they'll like, and then games that should have been huge sellers that would have been really popular just 15 years ago are now not selling the way they should. They're not getting the recognition. And that is where I come in with Cronos: The New Dawn. This has to be one of the most catch-me-off-guard games I have played in a long time. The big conversation this year is around Expedition 33 and how it kind of just came out of nowhere and ended up being this darling turn-based RPG that really evoked earlier times in the genre. And I feel like while it's great that Expedition 33 has got that attention, there are so many more examples of games just like it in the sense that they're quality, not necessarily one-to-one equals, but quality games that come out and just don't get the appreciation that they deserve, and Cronos: The New Dawn is absolutely that. So Cronos is by Bloober Team, the team that put out the Silent Hill 2 remake last year. So just 1 year later, they're putting out their own new IP. It's amazing. It is honestly way better than I ever could have expected it to be. If you've seen gameplay, you've probably thought, oh, it looks like this or it looks like that, and I think that's pretty accurate. It wears its influences on its sleeve. It looks kind of like a Dead Space game. It has some Silent Hill scattered across it, but playing through it, you really see the influences of Dead Space, of Resident Evil, of Silent Hill, of maybe even a little bit of like Alien Isolation, or maybe it's just the influence of Alien itself or Blade Runner, of those Ridley Scott films of the 80s. It's really its own thing. Once all of these things are mixed together, it becomes this wonderful new property that sets itself apart from all of those games that I just mentioned as influences. And it's really hard to break into the horror genre, especially in the AAA space. I know there's the indie games that are much lower budget and they can kind of make what they need to continue on to the next game, but this is more on your AAA scale, like a Dead Space, like a Silent Hill or a Resident Evil. And it came out in early September, and the last we heard was like 200,000 copies sold, which I'm sure it's plenty more now, but so many big games came out right around that time. It came out the same day as Silksong. Borderlands 4 came out later that month, and then we got Ghost of Yotei and Silent Hill F and all these games, and it seems that people probably didn't prioritize Cronos: The New Dawn, and I don't really blame them. I didn't either. It's a new IP. It's from a team that really proved themselves with Silent Hill 2 Remake, but hasn't received as much fanfare for their prior works. It's only $60. It's right now, as of this recording, is on a 15% sale, so it's like $51. And what I received from Cronos: The New Dawn was a game fully worth its price of admission. A $70 title would have even been fair. This is what I wanted from a potential Dead Space 3 instead of the, more action co-op oriented fest we got with the EA Dead Space 3. Cronos takes place in like 80s Poland, and the thing that makes it so unique is that it's horror in a way that you might be familiar with the enemies being called orphans. It's similar to like a necromorph or something like that from Dead Space, but you are time traveling in this game. You're called the Traveler, and you're traveling through time and trying to get these essences of these humans that used to exist that are gone now because in the future everyone has died out from this virus. There's a lot of inspirations from like the pandemic time in our real world. It tells this story through these different time traveling parts of the game and these documents you pick up and these voice logs. They're all very entertaining. I mean, there's probably a few too many of them, I can say that for sure, but very entertaining stuff, and it builds this horror narrative that somewhat feels very familiar at first. You're like, oh, the outbreak, the end of humanity, all that. But there's this time traveling element that and that's so different that you don't usually see. I mean, we've seen sci-fi horror before, but then you have this time travel element, and then on top of it, As the game concludes, and of course, no spoilers here, the kind of genre that this is besides horror, it's also this kind of game. It's this kind of story. It's this genre. It's not just horror. And it's really surprising because it's not really a genre I'm used to seeing in the horror landscape of video games. So I was pleasantly surprised by where the story was building and how original and unique it was. And I'm just flummoxed by how tight this game is, how great the mechanics are, how great it feels to shoot, the audio design, the aesthetics of it, the art style. It's just dripping with atmosphere. It's beautiful. It's a phenomenal game, and it's truly up there with your Silent Hills and your Resident Evils and your Dead Spaces, and I just don't know what it's going to take if being this good of a game is not enough to sell enough copies to warrant a sequel. Now, of course, I am inferring a lot here. I don't know how much it sold. I don't know how happy the developers are with its success, but it just seems to be getting slept on, and I want it to go so much further. This has got to be one of my most enjoyable games of the year. I would say it's right up there with Expedition 33. I mean, Silent Hill F was this game that I wasn't expecting a lot of because the company or the developers that made Silent Hill F had never made a full game before on their own, and they knocked it out of the park with Silent Hill F. And then I go play Cronos, which I assume is going to be probably lesser quality because it's not that Silent Hill name, and I end up playing something just as good, and you could maybe even argue better depending on your tastes. What I wanted to get across in this video is to say that Cronos: The New Dawn is an immaculate experience. I would recommend it to anyone if you are a fan of horror. If you've loved Dead Space or Resident Evil or Silent Hill prior, you should definitely pick this game up. It's Halloween right now as I record pretty much, so this would be the perfect type of game to play. Just don't let this one pass you by, and if you can get it on a sale in a 3 months, 6 months, a year, and it's really cheap, that's great. That's great for you as a consumer, but this is one that was worth ponying up the full price and supporting the team with. So I would put it up there with the best 2025 has to offer, and I hope that it gets at least mentioned in the Game Awards for maybe audio design or something of the sort, but I fear it's a very competitive year, and I don't know how far it'll get. Cronos: The New Dawn, it's got a great story, it's got great art, sound design, gameplay, it's got little puzzles that are reminiscent of other horror games, but easier, which is good for someone like me. But it was absolutely a joy from start to finish, and a game I'm going to remember forever and will replay, and will probably make this part of my horror rotations of games every year it gets to that time of the year and I want to sit down and play something scary. If you watched this far, please check out Cronos: The New Dawn. Let me know what you thought of it if you've already played it. If you're thinking about playing it, let me know when you're thinking about picking it up. Any questions you have about Cronos: The New Dawn, I would love to answer. This is one that you're not going to regret. And if you're someone like me who's a big scaredy cat, I should also say I didn't jump that often. I didn't get that scared. There was a couple jump scares, like where an enemy came out from a wall or a door. For the most part, this was much more manageable than something like a Resident Evil or Silent Hill, which scares the ever-loving crap out of me. Cronos: The New Dawn is phenomenal top to bottom, and it deserves your support. So pick it up, let me know, and thank you for watching.